Get more context around the sentencing and bring in Danny Sevelos. He's a legal analyst for NBC News and MSNBC, as well as the co-founder of the law firm Sevelos and Wong. Danny, thanks so much for joining us. Great to see you. Your initial reaction, 25 years?
It's interesting because under the U.S. sentencing guidelines, as calculated, Sam Bankman-Fried's sentence range would have been so high, it was technically an illegal sentence. It was actually in excess of the statutory maximums. That's how high his expected sentence, as calculated under the guidelines, would have been. Bankman-Fried's attorneys challenged that by essentially arguing, hey, there was no loss, because loss to the victims is the largest driver of these kinds of white-collar crimes. And so the judge rejected that, but yet, even though...
Wait, what do you mean there was no loss? I thought a lot of people did lose their money. I mean, they're not going to get it back. I guess in some way you're going to get some of the money back. But let's listen carefully to what else he has to say here. That's pretty telling.
The judge rejected the defense's loss argument. The judge still went way below what the government was requesting, 40 to 50 years, and only...
Now, come on, 40 to 50 years, that's honestly excessive, right? I know Bernie Madoff, he got 100 plus years, right? But his scheme, whatever it was, Ponzi scheme, has been going on for years, and I believe decades, and he was making these false statements and setting up to their investors. However, SBF's fraud was not as excessive as Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme. But 40 to 50 years is way a lot. Is way too much.
25 years, which represents a substantial departure. And here's the crazy thing about the U.S. sentencing guidelines is that ever since a Supreme Court decision a couple decades ago, they're not even mandatory. As long as a judge calculates them, the judge can go below the sentencing guidelines. So judges have considerable discretion in this area. And this has been a very controversial area of sentencing.
Will be sent to minimum security prison, which is good. I mean, it's a white-collar crime, right? So I don't think he should be in there with the maximum security prisons and all those individuals that have killed people, have robbed, and the drug offenders or whatever. But it's a white-collar crime, and I think he should go to a medium security prison or less.
Because the guidelines take a non-violent, non-gun, non-drug offender, and because of the loss amount, which admittedly here is so much that it's beyond the highest level of the guidelines, which only goes up to $550 million. So in a case like this, the judge, in the judge's discretion, decided to go somewhere in the middle of what the government was asking.
I mean, at the same time, the judge was criticizing Bankman-Fried for perjuring himself, for not engaging sufficiently and taking things seriously, which could have led to a sentence at the higher end of the scale. So why has he settled for a relatively low number at 25? Is it because of this fact that crypto's rebounded, that the people that lost money initially might get...
Well, I don't think it's because crypto has rebounded, right? So I don't understand what's the point of that question.
Some or all of it back, things like that?
That's probably a major factor. It's an argument that the defense made, is that the loss here, because remember, the government and the probation department kind of arrive at their own number for loss. And so loss can mean a lot of different things. Is it the amount that actually went into SBF's pocket? Is it the amount that disappeared? And if it is the amount that disappeared, then should he get credit for the money that some people are able to get back, especially if they get dollar for dollar, 100 cents on the dollar?
You see all the 7 counts he is guilty of here. Wire fraud, wire fraud on customers of FTX, conspiracy. It's a bunch of stuff that he's guilty of. But I think 25 is enough, to be honest with you. 25 years is enough.
So loss is never a concrete number, at least in one defense attorney's mind. That's me. And in fact, the law has changed considerably in the last couple of years. It used to be intended loss. Now it's really supposed to be actual loss. What is the actual loss? So the judge may have taken that into consideration. But either way, the sentence that he gave was far below what the recommended sentencing guidelines were. The judge has the discretion to do that, but it's very interesting because when a judge excoriates a defendant for the bad things he did during sentencing, as a defense attorney, you're thinking, uh-oh, that means we're going to be on the high end of the range. And Sam Bankman-Fried was definitely not on the high end of the range. I know 25 years is a lot of time, but what he could have gotten was quite a bit more.
When you look through the entire case, the entire trial, the evidence that the prosecution provided to get to this conviction, was it very clear to authorities, had we not seen crypto prices crash? I guess I'm asking the extent to which, flipping on its head, he might have got away with all of this if we'd seen Bitcoin prices hold up throughout like they have now and bounced again.
That's possible. I mean, look, this is just my take as a defense attorney, but, you know, federal prosecutors are prosecutors. They're selective prosecutors. They have limited resources. So do they sometimes get their ideas from watching the news of who to maybe investigate? Yeah, that's possible. But the reality is that, you know, once you get the attention of federal investigators, nothing good can come of that, whether that attention comes from media, whether it comes from your company making an ill-advised stock move or business decision. No matter what, once federal investigators are onto you, bad things are probably going to happen. And that's exactly, this was a prosecution 101, government prosecution in a financial crime. They got to his cohorts, his co-defendants, got them to turn on Bankman-Fried, and from there, it was really smooth sailing for the government all the way.
You know, in these criminal cases, every man is for themselves, right? So, of course, his girlfriend and then his co-founder, yeah, of course, they're all going to turn against them. They're all going to turn against each other so they can get a lesser sentence. And then Sam Bankman-Fried, of course, probably going to get the worst of them all. But, you know, in these crime cases, people turn against each other. In actuality, there's really no one is really friends, right? And that even though they'll tell you, oh, I have your back till the end, no. Now, when the police starts knocking on the door, trust me, everybody's going to start trying to save their own behinds. It's really good.
The only reason Bankman-Fried testified was either one of two reasons. Either he insisted on it as a client, or the defense team thought it's so hopeless, we might as well put him up there and just try it out.
Danny Savalos, thanks so much for joining us. Much appreciated.
All right, so what do you guys think? You think 25 was enough? 25 was not enough? Like the government wanted 40 to 50 years, which is really excessive. And other people for white collar crimes have gotten less than 25 years, right? Based on your experience, based on, you know, and your opinion, what do you think? 25 years is enough, or it's not enough? You should have gotten more. What do you think?
It's just old-fashioned fraud.
It's really a story of a crook, not a story of crypto.
FTX, which definitely have completely changed the way diligence is done.
We suffered a lot of damage to trust in the end of 2022, and getting that behind us is a good thing, period.
We didn't need new legislation or policy or rulemaking or law or anything to find him guilty of one of the oldest crimes in the books, fraud, right? And so to that extent, I think that is done and dusted.
The industry's rebounded, it's accelerated regulation in those conversations, and the industry's in a much better place. So I think that there's going to be a pre-FTX world and a post-FTX world, and I think those in the industry are excited for the post-FTX world and to move forward from the event.
There are good players and bad players like any other industry, but that doesn't take away the technology behind it.
What I'm hopeful for here is that we see that this is just a bad actor who unfortunately was playing in a new sandbox, and we don't want to paint the industry with that type of a brush.
Excited to move forward and find appropriate regulation for this space.